Hi guys, welcome back to Nyx Reads. Thank you so much for watching and thank you for coming back to this channel. I unintentionally took a 2-month break from uploading booktube videos, but I really appreciate that you clicked on this video and that you're watching me now. Please leave a comment on what you're reading right now. I'd be super happy to hear from you. Everything is well with me. There's just been so much going on in the last few weeks and months. I have changed my job, so it was quite time consuming and just very all-encompassing to, go through the interview processes and then also giving my notice at my old job because I've been there for quite a while. And then I started my new position at a new company, so that has been very exciting but also very intimidating. I had a bit of time in between where I traveled and visited my boyfriend's family, where I also picked up a book which I will show you in a bit. So that's been the main reason why I did take a short break from uploading videos, and I also haven't been reading much. So in May, I kind of recovered and I finished quite a few books. But in April, I read 0 books, or I finished 0 books, I should say. I was reading, I just didn't finish a book. Can you believe that? In the whole month of April, I finished no books. In March, I finished 1 book. One. So yeah, I will talk about those, but let me actually share my reading goals with you because I don't think I've done that yet. It's a short list. I only have 4 reading goals for this year. The first one is to read 32 books. This to me is a pretty decent but small number. Just to give you some context, usually I aim to read anywhere between 70 and 90 books a year. So cutting it down to 36 to me is quite significant, but this is what I just deemed as realistic for this year. Then I want to read across all continents. So I'm not overcomplicating it as I did last year, where I had very specific rules about the countries, about the translations, and now I'm just saying that I want to hit every single continent this year. My third goal is to read 18 books that I own from my own shelf. The intention here is to reduce the amount of physical books that I already have, that I accumulated over the years and that I haven't gotten to yet. So I started the year with 73 unread books. So my goal is for the end of the year to be somewhere below 73. In 2024, I actually started the year with 80 unread books. So I was at a net -7 books, which is great. So in just a little short decade or so, I will be down to 0 unread books if I keep this up. My fourth and last goal is to read in 4 languages this year. I am not setting a goal of how many to read in which language. I'm just saying I want to read at least in 4 languages. All right, so what else is going on? This is going to be a chatty video. I went to 2 bookish events last week, which was really fun. So the first one is a book sale. So there was another huge book sale where you buy books by the kilo. I went to one just like that, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and I actually vlogged it and filmed a haul, which I can link here. So last time I picked up something like 10 books, and this year, because I'm so conscious of how many books I acquire, I only picked up 1 book. I got Nothing But Blackened Teeth. This is by Cassandra Kah. I have seen this book floating around BookTube, and then when I looked on the back, there were quite a few blurbs here from authors that I know are very good. So like T. Kingfisher, Stephen Graham Jones, Josh Mallerman. So I said, okay, let me just pick this up because it's also quite short. I have no idea what this is about. I think it's about, yeah, it's a haunted house story. That's all I know. I don't need to know anything else to dig into this book. Then I attended a book festival where I was in a panel with one of my favorite mystery authors, Nita Prose.
The voices in our own heads.
Kill.
No wonder we're in crime.
She wrote The Maid and The Mystery Guest, and The newest installment of the Maid series is out now. It's The Maid's Secret, and this is the last book in the trilogy. I am really, really sad. I haven't brought myself yet to read this because I know that I'm gonna love it, and I know I'm gonna be sad that it's over, but I cannot wait to see what the author writes next. She came across as very bright and positive and energetic and confident, so it was just a really great panel. And in the end, I had her sign my book, so I have a little personal inscription in this one. Let's see if I will pick this up soon, but I just don't want the series to end. Now let's talk about the one book that I read, or finished, I should say, in March. Because I did not have a lot of time to read, I actually resorted in reading essentially one book at a time. I cannot remember the last time I've done this because usually I have 5 books going on at all times. I actually just wanted to finish everything that was piling up. One of them was The Lies of Lamora by Lynch. Finally finished this. This is a highly appraised fantasy book. This is the first in the series. I will not be continuing this series. I gave this, I think, 2 out of 5 stars. I did not like this, and I'm very sad about it because I was so sure that I'm gonna love it. I picked this up thinking, wow, I know that this is gonna bring me back into the reading mood because it's gonna be so good. The main reason I picked this up is because I was once, ages ago, watching this book review on 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, which I loved, and somebody said in the comments, or the booktuber said that they actually preferred this book. Didn't love it. The main issue I had with this book is the writing. It is overly wordy and descriptive. It took me ages to go through this book. And that just really comes down to personal preference, doesn't it? I just didn't love the overly wordy writing. It made it very hard for me to connect with the characters and with the story. I think that I also expected so much more twists and turns when it came to the heist and what was going on. So the book is basically about this master thief, Locke Lamora, and his crew. So a little bit like 6 of Crows, but it just didn't grip me. And I think the biggest obstacle was really the writing for me. I couldn't get past it. I made myself finish it. I didn't have a big desire to DNF it because at the end of the day, it was entertaining enough that I wanted to know how it ended, but I just didn't really care about the characters. So while I'm glad I can say that I gave this a try, there's no way I'm gonna finish the series. I think that if you love very descriptive writing, you could like this, but it's just not for me. As I mentioned, in the month of April, I read 0 books, so let's skip over that month. Moving on to May. I know May is technically not over yet, but I'm not anticipating on finishing a lot more books. So let's start with the book that I rated the lowest so far. It is Herta Mueller, The Passport. So as I mentioned before, I traveled in between my old and my new job. So I went to Romania. I traveled to Bucharest and also some parts of Transylvania. I saw the Dracula Castle, which is really cool. So I picked this book up because I wanted to, you know, I was there in Romania. So I said, okay, let me pick up a book that is highly acclaimed. And Herta Mueller is actually a Nobel Prize winner for literature. I am still on the Storygraph challenge by Camilla from Hasty Books to read all the women that have won this Nobel Prize for literature. So she was one of them. Now, what I didn't realize is that she wrote this book in German. I bought it in English because I didn't do enough research. I thought she wrote it in Romanian. She didn't. She wrote it in German. So I unnecessarily read the English translation to this. But it's okay. This book takes place in a German village in Romania during the communism, during the dictator Ceausescu's dictatorship. And it's full of dread. It is full of people that are in this seemingly hopeless situation with no future, and it is about people trying to get a passport to escape to the West. The writing style of this book is very interesting. They are very short sentences that are mostly observational. This book was very bleak, and I usually give bleak books a pretty favorable review, but this one I just had a hard time finding enjoyment while reading it. Part of it was the situation that this book is describing, but then also the writing style. It was nothing that I found particularly enticing. It lent itself to be read very fast, so I was able to read this, I think, in a day and a half, but it didn't really stick with me. The way that the author portrays women to be completely objectified, be finding themselves in really bad situations, left such a bad taste in my mouth. I understand that that is the depiction of how it must have been like to be a woman in a German village under dictatorship at that time, but I just had a hard time enjoying myself while reading this, which is why I just couldn't give this a very good rating. I'm glad I read this very distinct voice. I do really respect the way that the author captured this life, this seemingly hopeless situation of these village people in probably a very realistic manner. I do respect that, but because it didn't touch me emotionally, I just didn't have any enjoyment or particular, attachment to the story. I don't think Herta Mueller is my cup of tea. I did wonder if maybe my reading experience would have been different had I read the German original. But again, I just don't think that this author is gonna be one of my favorites. Another book that I gave 2 stars is I Need You to Read This by Jessa Maxwell. This is about a young girl that gets the job as a columnist to give advice to readers at a very prestigious journal. This takes place in New York, which is a very interesting and exciting background for this murder mystery. The way that our main character Alex gets this job is because her predecessor was murdered in her beach house. So while she's starting this new job, she's also trying to find out what happened to the person who had this job before her. This book has under 300 pages, and yet nothing happens the first 60% of this book, nothing significant. There's just a lot of repetition of the person going to the job, talking to people, but the progression is so slow, and for a mystery that is this short, I don't think I should be bored for over half of the book. It was a very easy to read novel, but I did think that some of the interaction, the dialogues between characters need a bit of work. They felt a bit stiff and unnatural, so much so that it is something that I noticed, which usually I wouldn't. I don't think I really ever say this about books. The way the mystery ends was okay. It was not overly satisfying or anything. So this is the second book that I read by Jessa Maxwell. The first one was The Gold Spoon. That one I liked better because of the premise. It had something to do with a baking show. So because this is the second book that I don't quite love, I don't think I'm gonna read a third book by this author unless it gets 5-star huge praises from all of the mystery readers that I follow and trust. Then I picked up a thriller that I gave 3.5 stars to. It is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. This is the second Freida McFadden that I read, and once again I picked it up because I knew that I'm gonna be at an airport, I'm gonna be on an airplane, I'm gonna be traveling, because this author, and I say this not in a condescending way, in a very positive way, this is the perfect airport author to me, because her novels are so easy to read, they are incredibly accessible, nothing too complicated, the writing reads very flowy, they're just very, very intriguing. The premises are cool, they're such page turners, you just need to know what's going on next. So it makes waiting at the gate and sitting on a plane very comfortable and easy because you have such a great page turner. I think this is her most famous book yet, and it's being adapted into a movie towards the end of the year with Amanda Seyfried, she's one of my favorite actors ever, so I'm really excited about that movie, and with Sydney Sweeney. I am definitely gonna watch that movie, even in the cinema. And kind of just like the first one that I read, which was Never Lie, there were quite a few things that didn't make sense. Quite a few big plot holes, and it's extremely over the top, but again, the entertainment factor of this was just so incredibly high. The writing can be very on the nose and simple, but I think that is exactly why she's so famous, why her books appeal to the broader mass, because even for people who don't want to invest so much time in reading thrillers, these are so accessible and fast to read. What is it about? This is about a young woman who gets hired to be a live-in maid with a rich family, and very fast she discovers that something is very wrong with the couple and the child that she now lives with. Finally, the best book that I finished in May is Doppelgänger, I Trip into the Mirror World by Naomi Klein. You have probably heard a bunch of reviews of this already and seen this book telling you that it's great, you should read it. I also am telling you that you should read this if you're into nonfiction, or even if you're not into nonfiction. Maybe you're sitting there thinking that the world is crazy right now. You do not understand how the media is so upside down, and your friends, family, maybe neighbors who you love and trust suddenly have these very odd worldviews that you may not agree with. You think that they got it upside down, that they're getting things wrong. You find yourself thinking, in what circus am I right now? This book is for you. The way that most book reviewers will describe this book is very sparsely. And that's actually what enticed me to actually pick this up, because everybody kept saying how amazing it is, and yet nobody really told me, except for maybe 1 or 2 booktubers that I watch, what it's about. So I'll keep it that way. You should dive right in and just see for yourself what this is exactly about. It becomes very clear from the beginning. But what I will say is, kind of like I just already teased on, is if you find yourself talking to people who are close to you or who you've always been friendly with, and they suddenly have very different worldviews from you, you find that they're suddenly more anti-vaxxy, pro-right, and not very women's rights friendly as you thought they would be. If you find yourself in these conversations where you're like, is that really what you think? And that can't be right. That is probably not fact-checked what you're saying. If you have felt these sentiments lately, then I think you should read this book. Let's leave it at that. Those were the books that I finished, and I am in the middle of 2 books, which I don't know if I will finish them in May. So one of them is Kim Thuy's Man. I've been really liking it so far, and the reason why I picked it up is because I didn't know what book to start next. So I actually used my little jar of unread books, and I had my boyfriend pick out a random post-it, and this is the book that came up, which is why I'm reading it. And then the audiobook that I'm currently listening to, which I started on vacation, is American Royals by Katharine McGee. This is just a fun, light drama read. It takes place in a world where United States actually has a monarchy, and we're following the drama and the love lives in particular, of the monarchs. I'll tell you in my next wrap up what I think about these 2 books. Thank you so much for watching this very chatty video where I update you on what I was doing, what I'm reading, what I've read. And I'm looking forward to posting videos regularly again. I'm not making any promises, but I really do miss interacting with you guys in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you have recently found a 5-star review book that you want me to know about. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to subscribe if you love watching bookish content. And if you just want to let me know that you're still watching, but you don't necessarily want to comment anything, then why don't you leave me a book emoji? That's very easy. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're reading good books, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.